anyway. It tastes like bacon.
Anyway, what about bacon?
This coffee tastes faintly of bacon. It is disconcerting. We had our first snow today.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it didn't stick, but it was nice to look at.
Yeah. Is that, how early do you guys, like, get snow usually?
Well, usually we'll have, like, our first dusting like this. Like, usually it's more like the end of October, like Halloween-ish. And then we'll get, like, a decent amount sometime in November. There'll be, like, our first proper, like, get the shovels out snow. But then it'll usually end up, like, melt snowing until, like, January, when you'll finally get, like, actual snow that stays for, weeks. Usually, like, right around Christmas time, it's actually not snowy, it's, like, slushy, which is kind of yucky.
But your sidewalks and stuff are all pretty good then, because you've got those pipes running through. Does that...
Well, it depends on, like, yeah, that doesn't do all the roads, just most of them, so it can get pretty icy. I used to fall on my ass a lot here before I kind of got used to the ice on, like, the sidewalks and stuff.
When I was living in Virginia, I was living on the third floor of this apartment complex, and it was wood stairs down the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Outward, like outside exposed staircase.
Yeah,
and
the cheapo apartment construct number 3 that you see in every...
Yeah, weirdly enough, it was like one of the most expensive apartments. I was paying like at least $1,200 a month, like in rent alone. Like it was fucking
This is the place
ridiculous.
behind Edge Hill, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was
Holy
$1,200 a
Hannah.
month for a 2-bedroom there.
This is $2010, right?
No, like 2008 to 2010. I lived there. Yeah.
Fuck that, dude.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. It definitely didn't help with the like financial troubles me and my partner were in at the time to have that kind of rent.
I believe this is the time you told me you were going to join the Marines as well, wasn't that?
I was
Part of your
desperate
plan?
for any form of fucking money that I could get at that point. Unfortunately, I did great on the ASVABs, but they were like, "You're just too fat." Like, we want to use you as a body on the field. You're just too fat. I was like, that's perfect then. I'll soak up more. I'll take more of the fire. You ever seen a fat kid in dodgeball? All of it comes to us.
It's true. It's true.
What was the point of that? That got sidetracked.
How slippery the stairs got.
Fuck, yeah. The ice on those got ridiculous in the winter. And every time I would get like to that last half step that was really exposed to the side swipe of the snow and sleet, I'd be like, all right, you're not going to fall this time. You're going to go really careful, one step at a time. First step, I would always just like fly down the last ones, just slamming my ass down the way. Horrible.
That design is so terrible. Like I can only assume it was designed by someone who never lived anywhere where there was any kind of cold air, because like you just create a wind tunnel where the stairs are, and it's like even colder, so it always freezes over there before it freezes over anywhere else.
Yeah.
Terrible design.
Not great. Now we're not quite in snow territory yet. Like, we're getting into the low 40s at night. I think maybe one night we got to like 39, 38, but we're not there yet. I'm curious to see if it's going to be like a really, really cold, snowy winter here. It's been pretty mild the last few.
Yeah. My grandmother always told me that then the rowan berries are, the more rowan berries you have at the end of summer, the harder the winter will be.
Yes.
Or as they're called in America, mountain ash berries. I don't understand that.
Oh, now I know what you're talking about. I don't.
No, but I don't get that. Like, you have a perfectly good name for them in English. Rowan. It's like 3 syllables. Rowan. No, 2 syllables, right?
Yeah.
But then you come to America and you're like, you forgot the name of it or something. You're like, oh, that looks like an ash tree, but it's smaller, so we'll call it a mountain ash.
Sure.
It's dumb. I have to ask Brian about that one. He'll probably know.
He probably will
why
know
that
that
happened.
actually.
Yeah.
I was playing a game with him and Nick the other night, last night actually, and my character has this gnarled staff that they wield, in this role-playing game, Cairn. And it's just a one-handed weapon, so I finally acquired a second weapon for my other hand, and it's just a old, kind of banged-up fillet knife for fish. And so I just look like a bushcraft version of Gandalf. And I mistakenly asked them, what is that sword he had, Glamdring? And they were like, yes, it was. And then we just proceeded to have a 5-minute conversation about Lord of the Rings and the names of the weapons. And I was just like, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to do this. We can just stop right now. It's fine.
Was that Celebrimbor who forged
Oh my
one,
God, I don't know. It has been so long since I've read all of that. I have to go back. This is the problem when you read like those books when you're in like 5th grade. Like all of the information's gone at this point. I went to an estate sale over the weekend, and I actually picked up a few things, and one of the things I picked up was an old U.S. Air Force flight navigation card, like a metal one that goes into a nice leather sleeve, and you can do all your calculations right on it.
That's cool.
Yeah. They had a Japanese one that was way more complicated and bigger, but they wanted so much money for that. And I was like, no, that one.
Yeah.
Nah. No, what else? I picked up also a Super 8 projector. I just thought it would be like a fun thing to tinker around with because it looked like it was covered in dust and shit. And no, so then I got it like down to the basement and cleaned it up and hooked it up because the power cable and everything was still there. I was like, there's a demo tape inside. And I threw it on and it didn't spin up, but it sounded like the fan wanted to. So I'm still working on that. I'm now worried that I've accidentally brought a haunted object into my home though, because right next to the Super 8 projector was a box with a lot of really nice toggles and switches on it. And it was from a company called Feral Instruments out of, I think, Indiana. And I looked into it right while I was there because I was like, what is this thing? And it is a shock box for gay conversion therapy. And it even had like a thing set up for like a projector to get hooked to it so that you could do the slides and then shock someone. And yeah, it was really disturbing. And without really like, I was like, oh, this is fascinating. Too morbid for me to acquire this, right? Like, I don't want to bring this into my home.
Projector.
But I did buy the projector that was like basically on it. And now I'm worried about what that film is in the projector. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds bad. That sounds terrible. What the sale was this?
It was just down the road. There's like a permanent estate house that like when someone dies in the area, the company comes, grabs their stuff, sets it up for the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. I really got to get that projector working. I have to know what's on that at this point.
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't burnt out the cells already.
We'll see. Oh, I didn't turn the light on yet on it. I wanted to get it moving before I put the light on.
Yeah, that was definitely something I had to learn when I was very young with those things. It's just like, you can't just have it sitting there. I guess some of the newer ones you could. But
it's got a low and a high intensity, so it probably would be fine to just kind of let it sit on low for a bit. Yeah. But yeah.
I think the one I learned on how to like operate the slide projector dealies didn't have that because like the teacher would always get like really angry at me if I didn't if I let it sit for too long on the one thing. I think that also taught me that, like, 'cause I'm not that old, but I learned that before I learned PowerPoint. So, like, I would always kind of, like, go back and forward on a PowerPoint just kind of, like, habitually, which might just be because I fidget with everything. But I do wonder if part of that was, like, because, you know, the slide projector, it was, like, trying not to burn out the whatever. I don't know.
I kind of want to get really deeper into this. Like, if I can get this thing working, I want to buy some Super 8 movies to watch on it. It's got, like, the nice fold-out side that becomes almost like a TV screen on the side of it.
Yeah.
And with the built-in speaker. So if that's all still working, no reason I can't watch some old films on it. And who knows, maybe I even buy, like, a Super 8 and start filming some things and get, like, real nerdy into that. I think Marcus
fucked around with the Super 8 back in his film school days. Let's ask him about that.
Yeah, I will. I'm just here's hoping it's not haunted right now.
Sounds pretty cursed, man.
It does actually sound very cursed, but well.
I mean, if not literally, certainly, like, the emotional damage. You probably just shouldn't have Googled that, is what you shouldn't have done.
No, I shouldn't
been like,
have.
I'm sure that's for, like, hunting or something.
There was a label on there of a panel of switches called shock intensity, so I had kind of a feeling it was for something. I just wasn't sure what. And then I found the manuals, and it was like, in case the common male finds themselves attracted to another man. It's like, oh, no. Oh, no.
Common male. If you're an uncommon male, do you get to be attracted to other men?
No, I think they still shock you. They might just shock you for longer. It's not funny. It's so morbid. It got me into like a whole rabbit hole on the laws around that stuff, and I saw that like even in Michigan in 2023, there's like legislation still hanging about like doing something about it. And even then, it's not about banning it. It's about making it so public health workers can't perform like work with shock treatment. But only in like official capacity. I think they can still moonlight. I don't know. It was like very weak writing. I was like, this has no teeth. Anyways, just so the spirits know that I'm not for it.
Oh, speaking of haunted objects, it's spooky time at the Save State. Ooh, spooky season, which is why we played a very spooky game.
Yes.
What were you going to say? Sorry.
No, it's fine. It was a bad joke.
Good. Glad to hear it.
I'll probably say it later.
In which we play a video game and talk about the game. And the game we played this week was Batman Arkham Knight.
Yes.
Because we kind of were talking about it. We decided we wanted to do it for an episode about it.
Yeah, well, and, not a little too much inside baseball, but we were talking about another game that we wanted to do for the Halloween season, and we realized, we should push that forward 1 week. Kind of sync it up a little closer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this game does take place at Halloween, so, very spooky.
Yes. Is it spooky, though?
It was haunted by low frame rates when it was first released.
Well, that's very true.
I guess that's the first thing we should talk about is like the release of this game was so bad that the company pulled it from a lot of storefronts within the first few weeks. Mm-hmm. I mean, I bought like the special edition or whatever the crap was, like the enhanced Uber special guy edition.
Oh yeah, on like my PlayStation.
And I played it day one.
Though. Yeah, that's where I was playing.
No, I had it on the PC.
Fancy.
Yeah, no, I mean, the frame rates only dip below like 10 when it was raining.
Well, thankfully it's always bright and sunny out.
Yeah, in Gotham.
Yep.
But now playing it, 8 years later, almost.
Yeah.
I had no frame rates problems. It played quite well, 90 frames per second, which is the highest I could get it to go in my settings.
I didn't do too much with the settings. I feel like it had DLSS on there as an option. Maybe not. Maybe not for this one. But I just cranked everything up to maximum, and I didn't see any issues during the gameplay. Because I do now finally have it on computer, so I was able to just kick it up.
Yeah, I think the cutscenes are locked at 30 frames, which was weird sometimes. It was pretty obvious when you were switching into a cutscene at some moments, but other than that, I didn't really. I turned off depth of field and all that horse clocky.
I also do that stuff. Motion blur is usually one of the first ones to go to.
Oh yeah. This game this game abused the shit out of motion blur. I mean, they all did, but for some reason, I guess with the first Arkham Asylum, it wasn't as bad. At least I don't remember it being as bad. But Arkham Knight, there's just so many lights and everything's reflecting off of everything. So, and you're this thing is set in a big city. You're actually in Gotham as opposed to the other two where. I mean, Arkham City is set in Gotham, but it's a cordoned off little section of it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I think, 3 times the size of the Arkham City map.
It's something like that, yeah. I mean, it's all the little islands. Everything's unlocked. All the boroughs, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah, or at least most of them. You still
Yeah.
see like other parts of Gotham off in the distance. I don't know if there's like a canon map of Gotham anywhere.
I don't think so, because I was playing Gotham Knights earlier this week, and I looked at the map to that, and I was like, I don't like this one as much. Like, these things
Is Gotham
don't feel
Knights
like they should.
is like in the same universe as the Arkham games?
Nope.
No, okay.
Nope, it just happens to take place after the finale of Arkham Knight, and then starts up with Batman dying and them taking over.
So
It
just
doesn't
like it would, but
Yeah.
it's not canonical.
But it's not.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't played that one at all yet. I don't know if it's any good.
You should get it just so I have someone to play it with in co-op, because it's not a great single-player game.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
really designed for like 2 to 4 players.
Okay. Yeah, that is the like. So when I booted up this game, I was like, okay, there's a new game plus. Let me see if I did that. Like, I think I did that, but let's see if I'll do that. So what I found out was not only had I done New Game Plus and completed New Game Plus as well, I'd done it on Nightmare difficulty,
Sure.
and my save file was at 240% complete.
That seems normal.
So I was like, oh, okay. I guess I did most of this game. So after, booting up and playing for a couple hours, everything kind of came back to me pretty fast, and I was like, oh, yeah, I remember it all now.
I got in deep enough. I kind of did a similar thing, but I erased all my old progress and started fresh on just hard, which I wish I hadn't done that now, because it could have used a difficulty bump. Hard is not hard. But, I got deep enough in so that I could do some of the DLC, Most Wanted. And then, yeah, I didn't feel like I needed to finish the story again this time around.
Yeah, I think that, first of all, Arkham Knight gets maligned a bit too much, because I think it does actually have a lot of good things to it.
Is it because the Batmobile?
It's not because of the Batmobile.
Interesting.
I mean, I do like that. I'm a big fan of the way that Rocksteady, I think Rocksteady make this, yes, do the Batman noir setting. Like, I love that their art style with the way they do the environments. And granted, that was probably better. It was better. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, being smaller games, made one appreciate the finer details better. While Arkham Knight being a big sprawling city, it's a lot harder to appreciate the small details. But there are tons and tons of small details in like the environment design and the little nods to different characters and stories and stuff like that I absolutely love. So like Arkham Knight being more of that, I thought was great.
Mm-hmm.
And the story is okay. Like I think that making Scarecrow the main enemy kind of was just kind of a downer, because I've always kind of find him a bit of a lame supervillain, especially because like we already, if you in the Arkham setting, he it seems like you're going back to revisit a secondary baddie from before. He doesn't really have the same menace.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when the Joker stuff in Arkham City. But that's one thing I really liked about this game, because like you're not actually, because like spoilers for a game that's almost a decade old, Batman in the events of Arkham City accidentally has like Joker DNA put in him, so he's got like a Joker virus that's trying to take over his brain.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That was from like Bane's super juice, right? Or I guess, was it Scarecrow that had like made it, but it was meant to like be the next like chemical that Bane would use? Am I recalling that?
It was like a cure for like a Joker disease that Joker had.
Oh, that's
put out
right.
into
That's
yeah.
right.
Anyway, so Batman is basically the upshot of this is that Batman always has the Joker in his head, like giving him crap throughout the entire story. Which and Batman can't say anything because it's a hallucination. And that's just like the best way. And also it's Kevin Conroy doing Batman, R.I.P. to the best Batman, and Mark Hamill doing the Joker. So it's just like you actually get some of the best Joker Batman interactions in this game, even though the Joker is, literally dead. So that was one of the things, like, going back and playing this, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot how much fun it is to have the Joker constantly needling Batman while you're playing this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, instead of it having, like, Edward Nygma being the one taunting you throughout an entire game. I mean, he's still there, but it's way more toned down than it was in City.
Yeah. And then also this game, like, I liked you mentioned the DLC. Like, there's a lot of DLC that are side missions where you play as other Bat family characters like Nightwing and Robin and Red Hood and etc. And I like those a lot too. It was fun seeing those characters in this setting. Those are. I mean, the actual gameplay is nothing to write home about with those ones. I don't like. I think when they did that with Arkham City, you have some similar things where you have smaller side missions where you play as not Batman.
Catwoman.
So there's a Robin one and it's like Catwoman, Robin, and Nightwing, I think, in Arkham City.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those ones did a better job of having different play styles. Well, I felt like in this one, aside from the fact that Red Hood has a gun, the play style felt really similar.
Yeah, it actually, as a quick aside, in playing Gotham Knights, I was playing as Jason Todd a lot. And I didn't realize until well later as I was like crafting the guns he uses, that they are less than lethal rounds that he's firing. Yeah, they're like a special rubber bullet. It's like, okay, that's how they're getting around this.
The Sagema special.
I was just like, I'm going to take on Batman's legacy. Let me get my guns.
Not that Batman. I mean, I understand that Batman doesn't kill people and that there's an electrical magnetical like field around the Batmobile, so when I run into a person at 300 miles per hour...
that one still doesn't make any sense. Like, I did the swipe that will blow up a car on a person and just watch them fly off a bridge, and I'm like, well, they're dead. He just killed them. I don't care if they hit the pavement. Like, you go that fast and hit them. Mm-mm.
And I think that's also part of the, like I liked aspects of the Batmobile. Like, I thought the combat was actually pretty fun. It's like this kind of arcadey tank mode like thing, which I actually think is fun by itself. Whether I think it belongs in Arkham games is another question. But by virtue of you having a Batmobile, a car that you can drive around the city in, it kind of ruins like some of the exploration. Like, so much of Arkham City was like this, aside from just exploring the city, it was like perfectly getting that glide, like that mixture of like, grappling off of this and hitting that glide and all that stuff. And there's just there's little, nothing makes you want to do that in this game after you get the car. I mean, when you get the car right at the beginning, so.
That's interesting.
There is a bit where you can't use the car, but I think
was the exact opposite.
Okay.
I only leveled up the car just to get it through combat scenarios where I was forced to use it, and then after that, I maxed out the launch ejector, and then never touched anything else on the car again. I would just use it if I had to for a mission, or I would use it to give myself a quick boost if there wasn't anything nearby to like get gliding, and then I just stayed gliding the entire time. I was not a big fan of the car being added. I feel it kind of padded too much, and they kind of leaned on it too much for like big moments.
Oh yeah, it definitely felt like there was some directive, like, you have the car now, make it like in like an early game. It's in like every puzzle. It's like, oh, how am I supposed to like get in this room? Just drive your car around the side of the building and have it shoot a thing through the window. Like, oh, of course. And yeah, so I think there was too much car. Like, I was fine with some car, and obviously like part of the Batman fantasy is the Batmobile.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely. I just like maybe had it so that it just appeared in certain points would have been preferable to me.
Yeah. Like chases with Firefly. Perfect.
Yeah. Like the design for the Batmobile is the Christopher Nolan design, which I think is a little... I mean, I guess that's kind of the part of the point with this story is like it's a Batman story that I feel has been told like a lot since we kind of entered this like revisionist postmodern Batman viewing of things where it's like, police state fascist Batman, like what's okay, what's the line, escalation, blah blah blah, where Batman becomes basically like a proxy for like the war on drugs or you know post Reagan like police.
Yeah.
Like, and I get that, but I also feel like that story has been told a lot, and like it doesn't really help that like the bad guys are like more fashy police state guys, but that's only overcome by being a bigger fashy police state guy. Like,
Fight fascism with fascism. Isn't that the same?
yeah, it's like they're those jackbooted gun havers is they're trying to take over the city. I'll get my Uber tank gun machine, and yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was a bit of a miss. And then like the actual, so like more spoilers for like the big reveal, which is why we were talking about Jason Todd earlier, is that like the Arkham Knight, who is the secondary antagonist to this game, is actually Jason Todd, one of the Robins that Batman assumed died. And
He's
then
the
came
man
back.
under the red hood?
Yeah, I think that actually is a storyline in the comics. I think
And a
that was
great film if you haven't seen it.
which one? Death in the Family?
No, Under the Red Hood.
Oh, I haven't actually seen that one. I've seen, yeah. But anyway, I just thought that the redemption part of that was very dumb because half of it occurs like over like walkie-talkie while you're doing something else. Like I don't know. I think that moment could have been better done. Like the other Batman, like I don't want to say like cliche, but trope is that like he pushes away the help, but he needs the help. So like things are better when he like includes the family into things, and he just has to like.
But then he's bringing them into danger and harm's way.
Yes, and then yeah, right. It's this push pull thing, but like in the end, like the moral is like, hey Batman, you can't do this by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But this game just makes it kind of seem like, you know, if you had just done it by yourself, none of this would have happened. He wouldn't have ever gone, you know. And I just think it has some pretty mixed Batman messaging.
Yeah, especially with the way it ends on that. Like, if that's the note they're trying to take away, it completely contradicts itself with its ending. Do we want to like talk about that one real quick before we get into things we enjoyed?
No, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
So at the end, you know, it's revealed that Bruce Wayne is Batman. He goes back to Wayne Manor, and in the like Batwing with the Batmobile attached to it, it's this cool scene. There's press and everything outside. He goes back into the manor and initiates Nightfall, which is this program that, you know, is meant to, I guess, end Batman, but not really. It's really a smokescreen covered to give Batman the ability to go back to batting without people thinking it's Bruce Wayne again. It's the end of the Nolan series where like Alfred sees him in like Milan or whatever at a cafe, whatever the fuck that one was. Anywho, at the very end of it though, you see like criminals and they're outwardly talking about how they're not even afraid of the bat anymore. And then they're like robbing this woman at gunpoint and like getting her purse. And then like this weird magical shadow version of Batman appears and like elongates on a rooftop and then busts out the entire area. It's like a Doctor Strange realm, kind of like appears out of it, and he's covered in fire. And I was like, is that supposed to be like Azariel or like or Azrael or like who's that supposed to be? It just still felt like, so he is just doing it alone. Like if that's just Bruce Wayne, he's just doing it alone. And like what? Now he's using like the fear toxin on them.
Well, like, I think you have a point there. Is like if assuming that this was leading into some kind of like they reference the Nightfall storyline from the comics, which is when Azrael does become Batman and then becomes evil fashy Batman, and then they have to take down evil fashy Batman.
Evil fashy Batman.
Yeah. Then that might be that. I think at the time that's what I thought they were doing, was referencing like the Order of Saint Dumas, whatever the crap all that stuff is. Not my favorite Batman storylines.
No, and it was a really, like, they did it a disservice in this one with that whole little Azrael storyline.
Especially after all the buildup you got from Arkham City, and then it was just very much a letdown.
But no, that kind of is how I'm interpreting it now, going back. I rewatched the ending again because I still wanted to see that one more time. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm now wondering if he's started using the fear toxin,
That would
like
be
in some
interesting.
kind of way, as like a weapon, like a tool in his arsenal to make people be more, afraid of him. I don't know. That would be kind of interesting, like a scarecrow Batman.
Or maybe like the maybe it's Batman and Scarecrow weren't all that different all along. They used fear to control people, and once that fear is gone, they blah blah blah. God,
Yeah, there is a
I
lot
feel
of.
like I have just there is just every Batman story has already been told. Is the
No, but
problem?
you're pointing out a really good thing too, which you already were hitting on, that like pick a Batman villain. He does all the things they do. He just does it like in a very focused way. Like he's got all the same
Mm-hmm.
gadgets they do. He's using all the same weapons. He's terrorizing. He's just focusing it on those who deserve it.
Yeah, and I think that like part of the problem is just that like the Dark Knight Rises like post 80s Batman has just become the default Batman. And I think that was just really one aspect of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Um like my preferred Batman is like Detective Batman
Yeah,
when
yeah,
he
yeah.
has to like
The world's
actually.
greatest detective. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't mind. Yeah, he has to beat up some things, but obviously, like my favorite version of Batman is the animated series, where like
Mm-hmm.
because it was aimed at children and on the WB network, they had to like tone down the violence, so it was a lot more like him kind of tackling jewel thieves at worst, and not like beating someone like breaking an unarmed man's arm because he wanted information out of him, like.
Or like, squeezing his head with the tire of your car and like revving it over
Yeah,
it.
because he you think he maybe he did something. I don't know like when is this kind of thing like he's unarmed and pinned to the ground
There
by you, a
is such a
massive
power
technological.
dynamic here that is so problematic, Batman.
I mean, the thing is, it's like I feel like they just kind of stopped trying to like analyze that aspect of it. Like in that Arkham Asylum, everyone you fight is not a criminal; they are like criminally insane. So
Yeah.
like you're beating these people up, but like part of you is like okay, like these are people are sick. But on the other hand, like what are you gonna do? Like I don't they're like running around lighting things on fire and like I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one, like they're all literal prisoners, right? So they're all like this is a big riot, it's a
Yep.
jailbreak. In this one, some of them are just employees of a paramilitary group, which I guess is bad, but like they haven't killed anyone. Like
Yeah.
they've killed some people, but like this is ostensibly like a public area.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're no longer in the controlled environment of people. We are now in the world, and Batman in the world is a much scarier thing than Batman in
Yes, it
like
is.
a controlled controlled environment.
Yeah. Ah, God. You know, it's interesting when you're at the reins of Batman. It's fun, like watching Batman. It's fun, but like when you actually take the moment to think about it, ooh, ooh,
Yeah, it's also just so much ickier now. Like I don't know. Maybe I was still into like the boyish like Ubermensch fantasy when I was younger, but
mm,
I mean, I think a lot of it's also just politics now,
yeah.
which is fair.
That's it's
We're much
it's
more aware of like police brutality and these sorts of things now.
yeah, it's a thing. Fun. What did you like about the game, Arvid?
No, that's the problem. I guess I liked. There's a lot of good things about this game. Like I
There
mentioned, like
is.
I like the dialogue. I like the voice actors. I
Mm-hmm.
like the settings. Like I like the places. There's some really cool ideas. The prison zeppelin's awesome and fun.
That's one of
You
my
know,
favorite stages.
yeah, and you get like some really fun platformy puzzle bits. You know, I even liked the Riddler puzzles. Like I think they're really fun, and I liked
Yeah.
having to get the car out and do some of those puzzles. And I liked driving around really fast and doing all that stuff. Like I liked playing this game a lot. You
Mm-hmm.
know, excuse me. Just as we've talked about, it's easier to talk about the things you don't like than to talk about the things you like.
It is. You know what's interesting though is that I'm realizing as we're talking that the stages, the areas that I liked the most were the ones that were confined and played more like a platformer kind of like the old Asylum game, than the ones that took place in, even if they were in the open world, if it was a very focused, like, you need to shut down this tower, like this relay area.
Yeah.
Like, those were fun. They're these little puzzles of, all right, who do you take on first? What's your priorities? How are you going to maneuver in these areas? When they open it up to the bigger, wider areas, that's when it starts to lose me. It's too much.
Yeah, and that's also like again not necessarily a hard complaint because I think that I think they do it well, but like part of like the Arkham game is that you have like these stealth takedown puzzles where you end up with rooms with bad guys. They have guns that can take you down pretty fast, so you can't just beat them up. You have to slowly take them down one by one, and part of the fun is puzzling out the order you're going to do that in. And when you have a big open area, it becomes a lot easier to do that. Like, you don't have to like wait for your opportunity. You can just jump off the side of the skyscraper, swing around to the other side, and then reposition yourself. You don't have to like, stealth around, and there's lower stakes for a lot of those stealth scenarios I found.
Mm-hmm. I really challenged myself this time too to try not to use the detective mode vision constantly while doing those like little move arounds. I really was thankful for it. Like, I would just turn it on, see the information I needed to see, and then I'd turn it back off. And it made like all of those little combat stealth puzzles way more entertaining because the visuals were a lot more enjoyable than just seeing like blue skeletons and blue lines and yellow warning signs.
Yeah.
I feel like there is a way they could have done that a little better.
Well, later in the game, you end up with enemies who can detect you when you're in detective mode.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you're encouraged to, like, not go into detective mode constantly, because if you're in detective mode for more than a few seconds, they'll spot you.
That's what the disruptor's for, my friend.
Yeah, but once you get to the disruptor, I did find that when I played on Nightmare difficulty, a lot of that became, because there's a lot more, like, armed guards, and a lot of those, like, trickier things ended up filtering in earlier. So that helped. The other problem is that going back and playing Arkham Knight, I am playing this in a post-Spider-Man world, and Spider-Man just does such a better job of the traversal and the combat that this feels very stiff and stilted. I still think I like the world, like the way that Gotham is built in this game better than the Manhattan of the Spider-Man games, because I think the Spider-Man games are very, very fun, but they're a bit sterile. Like, they don't feel like I'm in a comic book. They don't feel like I'm in a different world like it does with Gotham, where it's like, it's the 40s, but also it's now, but also it's the future, but also it's, like this kind of, that thing that was best exemplified by like the Tim Burton movie and then the animated series, where it's like simultaneously like immediately post-war, but at the same time with modern technology and modern problems. And I think the thing is, I don't actually like Batman himself that much. I just really, really like Gotham.
And I like dark city.
Well, just like this version of things where like police have Zeppelins and everyone just wants to have big bags of money.
I actually got into I'm not going to call it an argument, but I just had a very strong opinion with someone at the bar the other day that we fucked up when we devoted ourselves to jets and planes, and we really needed to focus on the Zeppelin and fuck all other forms of air travel. I think we'd be a much better society if we'd done that. I don't know. Just add balloons to everything that's my platform.
Well, considering there's like only like one reliable source of helium, and that's in America. America's uniquely situated to do that.
You're thinking too small, sir. If we devoted all of our technology to better Zeppelins, we'd get away from helium at some point. We'd figure something out.
Yeah, we'd be able to synthesize.
We'd have a fucking quantum Zeppelin. I don't know how it would work. Put a little Maxwell's demon in there.
I am on record as a Zeppelin enjoyer.
Yeah.
And also, like, the other thing I like about Batman is more like, like I mentioned before when we talked about Kiryu in the Yakuza games and like Wolverine and stuff like that, is like the masculine, manly man hero, like having to like self-reflect and like change how he like interacts with the world, like as a heroic thing, is like having that ability to adjust and to see other people's point of view, and this Batman has no interest in doing that.
No, they go like right back to the old trope of like, if you need to show Batman is feeling strong emotions or is having some kind of emotional development or anything on that level, he always has to experience that through the pain and suffering and loss of other people. Like victims have to exist in his life, usually women, but like that's kind of the through line of, Batman's sad now because a lady died that he knew. And they kind of do that in this one again.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, I think also like in the first one, it was much more. In the first two, I guess it was much more about like self-sacrifice, like that aspect of heroism. But we've already seen him like sacrifice himself twice by this point. If we're playing these chronologically, in which case it's actually four, whatever. Origins is another thing.
Yeah.
So like, and they make it set up like it isn't necessarily going to go back to that. The ultimate thing is self-sacrifice, but at the same time Batman always has to have literally everything. Like that's kind of the flaw with that line of heroism, is that how can you be a self-sacrificing hero who loses everything constantly, but at the same time his status quo is literally having everything because he's the richest man on earth and the most feared superhero in the country.
Yes, like, as Ben Affleck's Batman stated to the Flash, his superpower is that he's rich.
Yeah.
Which actually, no, that's not. One, not a superpower, and two, not what makes Batman good. Like, we've seen Batman without any gadgets just fucking take down a room because he's like a martial arts master. He was a member of the Brotherhood.
But how did he pay for the martial arts?
Oh, fuck, you're right. I'm not thinking about
how did he get
that.
That plane ticket to Nepal?
Shit. God damn it. So you're saying an average Joe like me still can't be Batman. That's fine.
Yeah, no, I am saying that. You can't be Mike, you can't be Batman.
All right. Childhood dream gone.
No, completely different subject, but I know, like I mentioned that this has my favorite like voice actor for Batman and Joker, and generally my favorite versions of Batman and Joker in them. But I was a little bummed that we never got Bryan Cranston, Commissioner Gordon, like in the Batman Year One movie.
Because we just got but we did get what's his face from Breaking Bad in this one. He played like Michael. Was that his name in Breaking Bad?
Wait, what?
The old guy. The old guy in Breaking Bad. I like him and stuff. I don't remember his name, but he's a good actor. No, sorry, his character's name wasn't Michael. His real name is Michael. Michael Ehrmantraut. Mike Ehrmantraut.
The gun
the guy who looks like he's the Jigsaw from the Saw movies, but he's not.
Who is he in this?
Commissioner Gordon.
Oh, he's the voice. Oh,
he's the voice of Commissioner Gordon. If you didn't notice why he sounded different, I guess it's been a while since you've played the other ones too. So
yeah, well, he's also in the other ones a lot less.
Yeah.
But okay.
It's weird that you pulled another Breaking Bad actor. Though.
Well, it's funny. You say the old guy in Breaking Bad. I think of one character specifically.
No, that's fair. That's really fair. I don't know. I guess the tired-looking guy in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, the one who's also in Better Call Saul, but isn't.
And he's in the later seasons of Community.
I've never actually watched Community.
Very funny in that. You should watch it.
I bet.
It's good.
Yeah. Look, Marcus spent a year trying to get me to watch I Think You Should Leave, and I finally did it, so I've like...
And? Do you understand when we give you recommendations, you should just go ahead and watch stuff?
Yeah, no, it's true. It was good. It cuts into my Simpsons watching time's the problem.
Yeah, I'm in season 12 now. Myself.
I'm in season 32. I'm almost there.
Whoa.
Almost done.
I've actually seen like from like season 25 on. So like right now I'm still in the I've never seen these era.
Oh yes, the dark era. Oh, season 12 still has some good episodes.
Yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed like the first 6 or 7. I think like season 7, it was like my last like every episode almost I was just loving. And then last 4 seasons, it's hit or miss.
Yeah, I think that was. I think ironically, it was like seasons 10 through 14 were when I watched the most of it on TV. Even though those aren't by far not my favorite episodes, but like I watched the other ones in reruns, obviously.
Yeah. My favorite ones are just the ones with Phil Hartman.
Well, there aren't many of those, relatively speaking.
No.
Anyway, let's see. What else was there to talk about with this?
What was your favorite DLC? Or like, what was your favorite most wanted, I should say?
So the ones were in which you are Batman.
When you are Batman, and whether it's DLC Batman most wanted or standard most wanted.
So like these are the side quests essentially.
Mm-hmm.
The one that's most memorable for me is the one with Professor Pig. The like serial killer weirdo murder guy with his like, I don't know if I like them the best. They're very upsetting.
Yeah, but it was really interesting. Like when you'd hear the opera music, you'd just stop everything you're doing to start looking for it.
Yeah, and you actually get some like detectiving stuff in that as well, which I feel like they did less and less as like Arkham Asylum is like half detective mode.
Yeah.
And they kind of did less and less of that as it became more action oriented. Also, the Hush one is pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a good job of like concisely doing the Hush storyline, which is, I don't know if it's one of my favorite. Yeah, it might be one of my favorite Batman storylines. It's certainly one
really
I've read
good.
the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's Jim Lee art, so can't complain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would probably put those two. I'm probably missing something really obvious though. What about yours? What's your favorite? While I look this up.
Weirdly enough, I don't know if it was my favorite, but Mad Hatter's was really good, if only for the culmination at the end, because it's a really quick one. I mean, it goes by like, you can knock it out in 30, 40 minutes, but when you go into Alice's storybook and you're trying to save the cop from that, the art style for Batman changes too into more of a comic book cel-shaded Batman suit, bat suit, whatever. That I just really liked. I kind of like, once I saw that, I wanted a pop-up storybook version of Gotham at that moment. Like, I wanted it all to become more comic book, less realistic, go more into the cartoon side. And leaving that was kind of a little bit of a bummer. Like, once I'd seen like what Batman could have been if they just leaned into that art style entirely.
Well, it was also a lot more silly. Like, it definitely had that like dark Alice, American McGee's Alice style to it, which was nice. I remember when that was the only game that Hot Topic sold.
Yep. Yep. I finally picked up a copy just because it was everywhere you went.
Yeah, it was an okay game, but with a lot of fun art.
Yeah.
But I thought that I guess my problem was I thought that was kind of very derivative of the one in Arkham City. Like, I don't know that it really did anything all that different, other than like, and also like it also reminded me a lot of the Scarecrow bits from Arkham Asylum.
Where you're
So I just
having your hallucinations.
Yeah. So I guess I was just kind of sick of Batman having hallucinations, which he does a lot in this game.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, all the twists in the storyline are the most obvious, like, dumb. Like, there are so many twists. Like, it's not even necessarily like, I don't need twists in a story to be like out of left field to be good, and I don't need stories to have twists to be good. But like, when there is a twist that is so telegraphed to the player, and then Batman, the world's greatest detective, is like, "What's going on? I don't understand. I saw you die," and you're like, Batman, it's every time you cough, You are hallucinating. Have you not noticed this? It's been like years now. Whenever you cough, it means you're hallucinating.
Yep. God.
Yeah. So like that's code. If you want to go back and play Arkham,
sure.
Just if every time you hear Batman cough, it means he's hallucinating. Yeah. So like, we were talking about favorite things.
Mm-hmm.
Alice.
Yeah. Again, just really for the art, the aesthetic of that, like going to that art style. I think if that had been the art style that the team had started with and worked out what Arkham City and the whole game would feel and look like from there, I think we could have had something a lot more interesting than what we had. That's just me, though. Again, I like my superheroes to look like they're in a cartoon often.
Oh no, me too. I definitely like that as well. I think that maybe I haven't been as effusive in my praise for the Arkham art style as its own thing of being like this. It's not quite like the pastiche, pulpy Tim Burton-y stuff, or the over-the-top Joel Schumacher stuff, or the very literal like Christopher Nolan stuff. It is. It manages to be its own thing, but at the same time, it has like that kind of. It combines aspects of all those art styles and then the comics as well. And the animated series is probably also a pretty heavy influence on there. So
yeah,
I like what they did with what they did.
Again, the Zeppelin, like that was, God, I wanted to see some more of that like Gilded Age art style in more of the city.
Yeah, and you get a lot of that in Arkham City, where you like in the underground, like the dilapidated subway stations and like the old World's Fair and stuff like that. That's so cool, and like that art style just does not translate well in some parts of this game because there are big chunks of this that are just set in like a modern financial district, big skyscrapers, glass, blah blah blah. Who cares? Bruce Wayne's world, so to speak.
That's interesting, is that you see a lot of construction, especially in the wealthier, affluent areas of Gotham going on. Do you think there was some kind of undertone between that about how Gotham is ready to move on from Batman?
Well, what I would have liked to have seen is like more of this, and they kind of play with it a little bit when you have to actually be Bruce Wayne a couple times, but like the fact that Batman has to be in Bruce Wayne's world now, like you're in the financial district, but like that world that Batman deals with is now here, and he has to like. I mean, it's not a new story that Batman has ever been told, but like there just didn't seem to be any change in Batman when he is confronting like this aspect of him, like this is where Bruce Wayne wines and dines and does his rich guy stuff, and half of these building projects are things that he's working on. Everything's got Wayne's plastered on half of it, but now it's a Batman problem, and I felt like they could have played with that a bit more, but it really just feels like another place to punch bad guys, which I guess is part of the problem, just having so much. Like, you can only do so much with the story.
I would be kind of interested to see if they had taken just the concept from City or even scaled it back and done just if Arkham Knight had been a scaled back focus on just the areas in City and the Asylum and kind of treated it like a Yakuza Kamurocho, area where every time it's just more and more and more, but you get more and more familiar with that area too. Would that have maybe been better?
Yeah, that is a good point, because that's something that Arkham Origins kind of does backwards. So Origins being set before the Arkham games, but it's set in Arkham City Plus, so it's not you get the same map as Arkham City, but you also get some other areas to basically double the size. And it is interesting when one plays that in chronological order, seeing this is what Arkham City used to, or the area that would be Arkham City used to look like versus what it looked like afterwards. And I think that's actually kind of well done, although Arkham Origins does have a lot of problems in
the shock gloves.
Yeah, in that,
it's the shock
and then,
gloves.
half the boss fights are quick time events.
Yeah.
and other things.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not talking about that one right now.
No.
But yeah, no, I think that would have been cool to have, because like the other thing that like the Arkham games always do is they have Batman get more and more run. Like every time the story progresses, like his suit gets more beat up.
Yeah.
There's like you'll just see like,
that.
oh look, which in Arkham Asylum was like amazing. Like, oh my god,
It's just
how many different models did they have?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. By the end of it, he's just like half naked, and they did that as well in Arkham City, and they do this in Night. But it would be interesting to see that on Gotham as opposed to just on Batman, and you do see it in each one, because like in Arkham Asylum, the place gets really fucked up as the game progresses. In Arkham City as well, and this one too. Although, like again, because there's so much of it, it's a lot harder to experience the fucked upitude. Also, like when you're like destroying buildings and that sort of thing on such a big scale, you have to like deal with so much like pathing problems and like the like trying to destroy the world of Arkham Knight on the scale that they destroyed Arkham Asylum would be almost impossible. But I would have liked to see more of that. I think that would have been cool if they would have had more of the parts that were Arkham City. Like maybe you're right. Maybe like they are trying to rebuild Arkham City after like mistakes were made. We're turning this into
moving
condos
on
or something.
Yeah,
and then things get fucky again. That would be an interesting decision.
Well, maybe they'll do something more like that when they hopefully make my favorite version of Batman that will come out, which is the McGuinness Batman Beyond.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I keep waiting for the announcement that they're doing Batman Beyond. Like a cyberpunk Batman game would just be so great.
I mean, if they do a Miles Morales or a Spider-Man 2099, it'd be hard to see that they don't do a Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also like one of the things another thing I liked about Arkham Asylum or the Arkham games is that they, like, my favorite Batman story is The Long Halloween. And,
that's good.
Like there's that storyline where you're just kind of touching on all of his different villains, and it, like I like that a lot. There's still like a much more noir detective plot in Long Halloween that you don't get in the Arkham games, which are much more like more traditional supervillain stories. But that's something I think I would have liked more, is if it felt like, because I mean, in Arkham Asylum it did that better, where it felt like you were kind of moving on from different villains. Like, okay, now you have to deal with Killer Croc, move on to whoever, Bane, and etc. And then in this one it felt like there's Scarecrow, and then you just kind of get distracted and wander away and deal with Penguin or whatever.
Man-Bat. You're just trying to chase down a lead, and Man-Bat appears.
Yeah, exactly.
Even when I know it's happening, like, because it's as soon as you get out of that starter area, like pretty much the next rooftop you grapple to. Every time though, it just like just startles me.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. That's true. That was actually a good moment.
Man. Yeah, I mean, it was really nice to get back to this though. I enjoyed it. I enjoy that combat style. I think this one was the smoothest of all of them. They really, like, for their swan song, like, nailed it on the combat side. It really felt like I was playing, like, a rhythm game, which is how I want my combat to feel in a game like this, like a brawler.
Yeah.
I loved the environmental takedowns and...
Yeah. Especially coming at this from Yakuza.
Yes.
Which is a lot of things, and I love Yakuza, obviously, but the Batman is just a much more fluid combat system than the Yakuza games are. And it also puts one in mind of, like, everyone's talking about the return of the Assassin's Creed games to, like, the OG. Like, I know everyone got sick of this combat style because this combat style was in every game for a long time, but there was kind of a reason for that, and it was because when it was done well, it felt really good.
It works really, really well. There was it John Woo did it? There was a game, I think John Woo might have been involved in it, that you were kind of like a Jet Li-like character.
Talking about Sleeping Dogs?
Was that the one where you actually like each joystick moved like an individual different part of your body? So as you were like
No.
kicking and fighting, no, this one was like this was a proto combat system to this kind of game where you've got tons of enemies around you. They start taking turns. Sometimes they'd come at you in multiple ways. You had to do counter, and then the way you moved. I think it was the right joystick chose the direction that you were fighting in. So you could like flick it one way, deliver a kick to someone, and then flick it back the other way, and your character does this cool spin move like with an elbow into someone.
Oh,
It was a
interesting.
really, I think John Woo was involved in that somehow. I don't know why that keeps coming back into my mind for it, but very fun, interesting game. And it was like the first time I'd seen this type of combat done, instead of just a classic brawler beat 'em up. And then when I got to these, it just clicked so perfectly. You're right. There's a reason why combat should be done this way for this type of game.
Yeah, like Sleeping Dogs does a if you it's also a John Woo-esque game in that it's a crime game set in Hong Kong,
Oh,
and it's a big open world brawler without the I would say it's got more GTA to it than it's got Yakuza for that from that standpoint, but that also had a very similar combat system just with cars and a similar problem I think to Arkham City in that it is a big sprawling map with a lot of like there are some parts that you could obviously like you will end up in little like food markets and stuff like that, and in like this you know Chinese I guess it's Hong Kong, right? And you know it's like super well detailed, and you'll go into an alleyway with like 100 different air conditioners in it, and like none of the air conditioners are the same. Like it's all individually done, but then you end up in huge like areas that are obviously just meant to be driven through, and you just see like the same NPC like in line next to each other. That's also a good game. Also, I think it was pretty underrated. Probably just because there were a lot of that style of game coming out all at once, and we all decided we were getting sick of that combat system,
yeah,
which was fair.
yeah, yeah. You got to be careful with it. Like at some point, the Souls like combat mechanics are going to get extremely tiring. Like it
At
will
some
happen.
point,
Yeah, at some
it
point.
will happen.
Yeah. Yeah, at some point.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet.
See, I guess that's the point. Some people have different tolerance levels for these things. But yeah, I mean, there's also just like a ton of detail put into this game, like just like even like the UI and like the little mini puzzles that pop up. Like there's a puzzle where you just have to like triangulate a couple signals, and there's like a whole like little UI that pops up like with its own custom thing you use maybe once ever again, but
Yep.
it's like
You talking
super
about at
well
the
detailed.
Ace Chemical Factory? Like when you're just trying
Yeah.
to like, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh wow, they just went whole hog with this like little like mini game that will take me 20 seconds.
Yep.
Um,
And that you're right. Like I think I do one more time in the entire game. Like that specific
Yeah.
style. That's it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a thing about this game is that I think because it had such to tie it back into what we started with, because it's launched with such bad performance, it painted the studio maybe with like a brush of them being lazy or that they cut corners or whatever. And like obviously they did not cut corners. Like there was a ton of work that went into this game.
Yeah, the reason they pulled it from the market temporarily and put it back out is because they had pride, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Like they could have just left this out on there. There's a ton of games that do that.
Yeah.
But it's a good game. I would definitely not say should be your first Arkham game though, because that's the other thing about this game is that there are no tutorials except for the stuff that's new to Arkham Knight.
Yep. You're right. I
Which-
didn't even think about that. I'm so like familiar with these now.
Exactly.
But you're right.
Yeah. So, but I didn't really realize that until I started my first tutorial, and I was like, "Oh, we just start with this one, like this move. This one's kind of advanced, you know." But yeah, like there's tutorials for stuff that's spread out all through the early parts of Arkham City that are just assumed knowledge when you play this one. Because I started a new game without New Game Plus just to see what it'd be like. And that's it. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, who would start with part 3 of a trilogy? But at the same time,
Like a teenager that was too young to let their parents didn't buy them the other ones, and now they have the money to get it. Like I could see that being like the specific target person that's gonna like start with this one.
Right, but also like if every sequel has to be bigger than the last, that means that you have to have more people to buy the sequel than played the first one. You know what I mean? Like you can't
Yeah.
if you can't increase the cost and therefore the income of something by 30% if you like don't assume, especially if you assume that everyone had to see the ones beforehand.
Right.
You see like the problem there, like you end up with like putting more which is why movies, historically speaking, before Marvel and all that jazz, put less money into sequels.
Yes, way
because,
less.
you know,
Yes.
yeah, like you watch the Superman movies and you can see the budget draining as the movies
But
go
you know
on.
what? Because of that trend, sometimes you get a better movie in the sequel because they have to find ways to cut corners and like get some movie magic going. And that's when you get like your real charmers like Ace Ventura 2 When Nature Calls.
You weren't gonna do Gremlins too?
No, no. I stand by it.
I think there are both sequels that are better than the original.
That's
I think
true. That's
I'll,
true.
I'll stand by
Ace
that
Ventura
as
2
well.
definitely holds up more in society these days.
Yeah. Also, is it actually did it a smaller budget? 'Cause
I
they actually
have
had to like
no
shoot on
idea.
location in Africa.
Yeah, but it
for
might
that
have been
one.
like really cheap to do that as far as like, it's a tourism thing, you know? Like you're going to get a lot of tax
That's true,
write-off.
that's
Who
true.
knows?
Yeah, brought to you by the South African Film Board and all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good point.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, come to think of it, I don't know that Gremlins 2 had a smaller budget than Gremlins 1. I think.
Oh, that's not great. That's not great. Okay. $15 million production budget for the first one. And let's see. 72 million grossed. That's a good return, but not like
That's a good return.
insane. They actually doubled the production budget for When Nature Calls to 30 million, and that one raked in 212 million.
Yeah. Well,
that's
also
way
like
better.
you gotta remember that margins before like the Marvelization of the film industry
Yeah.
were much like they were allowed to be much smaller. Like you could just have like there was a middle tier of film. I remember it.
Yeah,
you know,
B movies.
Like, well, not just B movies, but like you having some friends over for a sleepover. You're not gonna just go see the next Star Wars. So sometimes you did that. You usually just ended up seeing some stupid comedy with fucking Owen Wilson, and you're like, oh yeah, they make these movies.
North. Or you watched North.
You watched North for a sleepover?
Yeah, we sure did.
Oh my god.
A couple of the guys in our friends group also watched it that night.
Why?
We
What were you
chose
thinking?
bad movies. We chose like a lot of exploitation movies from the 70s and 80s, and also
That's
North.
different than North. That's entirely different. Like
Is it?
those are bad, and they
Is that
know they're
not an
bad. North
exploitation
thinks
movie
it's a
as well?
great film. Oh god,
It's one of my least favorite films.
it's one of the worst movies ever made.
Yeah,
and not
it
in
really
a fun,
is.
good way.
Nope. It's so bad. Well, do you have any more thoughts on this version of Batman before we lay him to rest?
I have a lot of other thoughts about this version of Batman, but not a lot of thoughts about Arkham Knight.
Well, maybe
And I'll probably have other things.
maybe that means we just have to play the other games. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
I mean, Arkham Origins is set at Christmas.
do the Telltale games, are they in the Arkham, like the Batman
No,
Telltales?
they're entirely
they're their own
different.
thing. Okay.
Yeah, I think if anything, they kind of steal more from the Gotham, the TV show. A lot of it.
Oh, I actually liked that. Okay.
Yeah, it's good in bits. I think that was smart for a channel or a production. The CW is very budget conscious.
Yes, they
and
are,
I think
and I
Gotham
respect that.
Was a good.
As a watcher of BBC shows, I'm perfectly okay with like them being practical
Yeah.
with their budget.
It was very clever of them to find a way to write out all the expensive things.
Yep. What if all the characters you got to see their lives before they had cool gear and shit?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, not to complain, because Gotham Central is actually probably my favorite story set in like the Batman universe. It's Batman's only like a tertiary character at best, but I like Gotham Central a lot. It's about like the cops in Gotham having to deal with like it's like The Wire, but if The Wire was
the
set
GCPD.
in Gotham.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Also, there's a new one of these coming out. There actually is a sequel to Arkham Knight coming out next year, hopefully, probably.
Really?
It's called Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, and
Yeah. Right.
and this is actually a sequel as opposed to Gotham Knights. And somehow there's a Justice League now, but they've been brainwashed by a space alien. So now the Suicide Squad has to beat up the Justice League. That could be fun.
Is it Starro? Who's like, has Starro just taken over the Justice League again?
I think it's Brainiac.
Oh, that's boring.
Yeah.
All right, that's
I mean,
fine.
he is.
It just takes me back to like DC Universe Online, and it's all like, it's Brainiac as the big villain.
I never played that one. No.
Yeah, it was around the time of like City Heroes and all those. It was fine.
Yeah, I was familiar with those as ads that were on the some websites.
I played them a lot.
I was a WoW purist at that point. Everyone else were just losers who didn't play WoW. But no, actually, I am remarkably like well versed in Batman for someone who really doesn't like DC. As I'm generally more of a Marvel person by far, but Batman, I would say that like Marvel is my favorite comic book setting universe. Like I like all the characters, but I think some of my favorite individual comics are Batman comics. Just because I like noir stories. I mean, Daredevil is probably my favorite Marvel character for the same reason that Daredevil is just less affluent Catholic Batman.
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about me.
So
Probably
you're
nothing.
saying there's a chance for me to still be Batman?
Well, I mean, you could go blind and have really good magic powers. That's even harder, though.
The rate I'm abusing myself, I'm probably going to go blind pretty soon. We're just going to let that joke hang. For a moment,
I was trying to go with you there somewhere, but I was just like, yeah, that's sad.
What? Okay, no, I'm not. I'm going to save it for next week. I was going to lean into that bad joke. I'm saving it for next week. I've been working on it.
All right. So why don't we take a break, and then we'll move on from Arkham Knight.
Good. I'm glad that statement can be where we hang our hat for a moment.
All right.
Do you also have a problem with your razor getting clogged when you shave your palms?
What?
What? You know, when you give your palm a little shave.
Like my hand? Is this a masturbation thing?
God damn it. Yes, Arvid, it was. God damn it. Jesus Christ.
See, I only found out about that like relatively recently that was a thing, like that you'll grow hair on your hands.
I heard them all as a kid.
Like who's busy? Like if it would be the weirdest thing on earth if my mom was like, "Hey Arvid, by the way, when you masturbate, this happens." Like, why does my mom know that that's a thing? Like I don't want like. Why is that something she should tell me?
It actually would be like a good deterrent if it was true, because can you imagine having like a 5 o'clock shadow palm when you tried to?
Yeah, that'd be terrible. I guess
that would be real rough.
Yeah, I guess if my hands were sandpaper, it'd be even worse. I don't know what to tell you.
What if you just had cat tongue texture palms?
Yeah, what if I was a 3-toed sloth and I just had 3 giant claws? I don't know.
Whoa, yeah, shit. So Batman, were we talking about more Batman?
We were done with Batman.
Were we done? Okay,
right.
We're done with Batman. All right.
Do you have any news?
Yeah, we have the best news that we love around here. We have Vampire Survivors news.
Oh, yay.
The day
What
we are
news have
speaking,
we?
there is a new free patch update that is adding a new character and a new area.
Awesome.
Hell
This is October the 19th
yes.
that we are recording this.
Yes, October the 19th, patch 1.7, dubbed Whiteout, is coming. We've got a new character named She-Moon, and the new weapon that goes with them, Glass Fandango.
Ooh, I like the name of that.
I do really like the name of that. And She-Moon is supposed to be like a Shiva, Final Fantasy Shiva-looking character, from what I've heard. I have not seen the images yet, but I am going to be playing it tonight. So,
does this coincide with it coming out on Switch, or was that before?
that already
Switch?
happened. Yeah.
That already happened. Okay.
Yep.
Yes. Well, very good. Very good. See,
Yeah.
sometimes you have good games like Stardew Valley and Vampire Survivors that just come out with free stuff for no reason.
Yep.
And it's just amazing, like that can exist in this world. Good.
It gives me hope.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's they keep this up and like it might actually end up being my like game of the year. If we
really
had a little talk about that. Yeah. Yeah, it might be.
That's quite, it came out last year, didn't it? Though.
Yeah, but I just mean for our show.
Games
of the
played,
games we've played.
Oh, the game we played for the show.
Yes.
I think it's not to spoil our end of year thing, but I think it's still going to be pretty hard to beat Paradise Killer. Like,
you know what we should do?
Vampire Survivors.
We should put together a list, each of us, like 4 or 5 games, a couple, like our top list, top 3 or something, and go back and play them, and then talk about them for that.
I don't know. Problem is, like, I don't know that going back and playing like a narrative game like Paradise Killer is gonna make me like it that much more.
You can go a different path.
It can only make me like it. Yeah, but the class is only at the end. I have to play through the whole thing.
That's true.
I mean, I'm not saying that we aren't going to do that. We are going to have an end of year thing.
Yes.
Ranking thing. I just know though. I mean, also Vampire Survivors. I literally play it like once a week, so there's no point in revisiting it.
No, that's true. That is one that's a constant go-to. Have not removed it off of my library at all. I mean, not only just because it's such a small file size, but like I've dumped like 1 gig and less games before to make room because I just realized I haven't played this in 6 months.
Yeah, and like Vampire Survivors, it has like that perfect level of just arcadiness where like I just want to do something. I have like my bus is in 45 minutes. I have half an hour to do something. I will do a round of Vampire Survivors.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Ah, so good. So that's the only news I have this week right now.
Oh, yeah, I don't have any news, really. I do have a hastily prepared quiz, though.
I love hastily prepared quizzes.
Oh, good. Me and fellow friend of the podcaster Marcus, have been on a bit of a rabbit hole dive through Japanese baseball. So what I'm going to do is I've got a list of the Nippon professional baseball teams and their corresponding mascots, and I'm going to give you the name of the team and give you the name of the mascot, and you have to tell me what it is, like what the mascot is of, like an animal or so on and so forth.
Okay, so I get it. So team name, mascot name. I have to guess what the mascot is, though. Like
exactly
representation.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Some of these will be very easy. Some of these will be not easy. So
we will see.
All right. I'm doing this in reverse alphabetical order, starting with the Central League.
Thank you for letting me know that.
Well,
I'll add that to the data points.
All right, so the first team is the Yomiuri Giants, and their mascot is Giabits.
Yomiuri Giants and Giabits is the mascot.
Mm-hmm. There are multiple of them, because it could be the Giabits, perhaps.
Oh, weird. Okay, now I know this isn't what it is, but it makes me, when you say that there could be multiple, and it's a giant, it does make me think that it's a lot of little baseball players in like chibi form that connect to each other to make a large baseball player. And that's the one I'm going to go with.
The answer is rabbits. They are apparently
God damn it, I heard rabbits and I was like, there's no way that Giabits and rabbits are the same.
Because apparently the monogram for the Giants looks like a rabbit. So
okay, that makes more sense then.
Yeah, the Giabits are Giabi, Giaba, Vicky, Suppy, Chappy, and Grandpa. Okay, so the next team are the Yokohama DNA Bay Stars, and they have two mascots.
Wait, can you say that one more time?
Yokohama DNA Bay Stars. So, like with Japanese teams, like you have the name of the city, then you have the corporation that owns them, and then like their name.
And then Bay Stars?
They are the Bay Stars of Yokohama, who are owned by the DNA Corporation.
But not like Dino DNA.
Well, it's like that, but if you had a letter E between the D and the N. But it's lowercase, so it's like D, like D, like the...
Oh, wait, is
like
the N and the A uppercase as well, then?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, then this is absolutely a Dino DNA character. It is a...
I haven't given you the names of the creatures yet.
I don't care. What's the name of the...
There's
wait,
two of them.
The whole team name is...
The Yokohama DNA Bay Stars.
God damn it.
Their mascots are DB Starman and DB Kiara. Kiara? There's two R's.
Yeah.
Kurara.
Are they like, okay, base stars, so maybe they're more like, not astronauts, but like star people. I'm going to say they're like in like silver jumpsuits with like stars for their heads.
They're hamsters.
Fuck, Arvid. Fuck you. God damn it.
Okay.
Shit.
So the next team, the Tokyo Yakult Swallows. And they have three mascots named...
No, go ahead.
Okay. They have three mascots named Subakuro, Subami, and Torukuya.
I'm guessing those are three swallows that like mascot up like
just,
birds around the field.
Swallows.
Yeah.
Yep. You got it. All right. The Hiroshima Toyo Carp. Their mascot is Slyly.
Well, it's going to be Slyly the carp on that one. I'm guessing it's not going to look like a magic carp, but it's going to be like some kind of fantastical carp creature.
How about knockoff Philly Fanatic?
Jesus Christ. You know what? No, hold on. I actually kind of see that one. I can actually see that.
It's actually a reused design, originally designed for the Brooklyn Nets when they were going to move to New Jersey and become the New Jersey Swamp Dragons. But they didn't end up doing that, so they have a leftover mascot.
Like, forget the Jersey Devil. The Jersey Swamp Dragon feels like the most accurate mythological creature they could have. I've met a few swamp dragons when I lived in Jersey.
Yeah. I feel like someone used to hang out in the cactus. All right. The Hanshin Tigers. They have three mascots named Toe Lucky, Lucky, and Kita.
They're going to be tigers, right? Okay, thank God.
All right, so the Chunichi Dragons. They have three mascots. Doala, Shaolon, and Paolon.
I mean, given the names, they're obviously dragons. Like, because you got, like, Shenlong, and, like, they're going to be, like, Chinese dragons for two of them at least. And then you might have, like, a Japanese, more elemental dragon as the first one, but...
You are 66% 99.6 repeating percent correct, and that 2 of them are dragons, but 1 is a blue koala.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know that story, but I'm sure it makes sense. That's fine.
Okay. The Tohoku Rakuten Golden Eagles. They have 3 mascots named Clutch.
I believe you meant to pronounce that Rakuten, which is it's like the kind of an
Is it
eBay-like trading site.
Yeah, I mean,
it's Rakuten, where you can get like the good
Okay.
cheap deals.
Well, Rakuten Golden Eagles. You have Clutch, Clutchnia, and Switch.
It's 2 golden eagles and their baby, which is somehow just a Nintendo Switch.
You are actually close. Not really, but
Fuck.
They are 2 golden eagles and a harpy eagle, which is the different eagle breed.
Oh my god! Harpy eagles are insane. I'm so glad more people know about them. The first time I saw one next to a person, I just thought it was a Pokemon.
They look very cool, I have to say.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, the Saitama Saibu Lions. Their mascots are Leo and Lena.
It's 2 lions.
Yeah.
Like it's just gonna be 2 lions.
Yeah.
Okay. This really feels like a Blue's Clues level. Like when they're easy, I am almost like, am I right? Like this feels like a trap.
Yeah. No. Fun fact: the Leo, the male lion, is designed. Actually, Leo and Lena are both designed based off of the design of Kimba the White Lion, his adult form from the old anime from back in the day. I think the first anime I ever actually saw was Kimba the White Lion.
Nice.
Way back when I was wee. Probably got those tapes from the library or something. All right. The Oryx Buffaloes. Their mascots are Buffalo Bull and Buffalo Bell.
And their name is the Oryx?
The Oryx Buffaloes.
I'm going to guess they're just really, really big buffaloes. Like, because if they're aurochs, like, they're going to be big.
No.
That's what I'm hearing.
Orix. It's like a company, I think. Oryx.
Well, they're wrong.
No, they're just
They
buffaloes.
should have named themselves aurochs. But that's fine.
Like the Besaid Aurochs, the team from Final Fantasy X.
Ooh.
Okay, so
Oh, man.
I'll give
I
you
just want to play Blitzball.
Yeah?
Like, why was that not its own standalone, like, 2K23 Blitzball is what I want.
Honestly, it
right
surprises me there wasn't like a Final Fantasy Blitzball for like the PSP or something like that.
Yeah, I would play the fuck out of that.
Maybe there was released some like on Japanese cell phones or something back when we were still fucking with our flip phones.
Maybe.
All right, next one. The Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters. Now, I should explain that Nippon Ham is hyphenated and Fighters is its own. So it's the Fighters of Hokkaido, sponsored and or owned by Nippon Ham. And the mascots are Frep, Polly, Brisky, and Cubby. There's 4.
Are they 4 cute little pig mascots for the ham company?
And Frep is a fox, Polly is a squirrel, and Brisky and Cubby are bears.
So that is the meat combination for a Japanese hot dog, then?
I was actually just reading about that, how like no Japanese baseball stadiums have hot dogs. Like they have like.
Whoa, that's wild.
Yeah, they don't even like. There's also like some company that makes peanuts.
Is it just like some takoyaki and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. It's and edamame and shit. Like it's like
Yeah,
actual yummy good
sense.
Food.
That actually sounds really nice.
Yeah, there's some company that like invested a bunch of money trying to get peanuts to be a thing at baseball games in Japan, and they're not like no one wants that. When you can get takoyaki.
Don't tell
or
that
whatever.
to Brian.
Yeah. Okay, 2 more. Next, we have the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks, and their mascot is the Hawk family. It's a family of 11 named the Hawk family.
That's too many mascots. I'm guessing that some of them will be like kid mascots then. I don't know what their like work laws are there, but I could imagine like it's two like adult hawks. Actually, no, it's going to be multi-generational. You're going to have some like grandparent hawks. You're going to have some parent hawks. You're going to have the next generation of kid hawks. Maybe even one of those kids has kid hawks because they've gotten old enough. It's going to be the true family experience.
Yeah, you're pretty close. So you have Harry Hawk, who is the original, and then you have his girlfriend Honey, and then you have his rival Hercule, his uncle Honky, his uncle's wife Helen. There are 3 kids: Hack, Rick, and Hawk. Hawk, but one spelled with an O. And then Harry has some other. Has an older brother named Homer, who was the old mascot before Harry. So there's like a whole
is this like
saga
WCW style where like Harry took down Homer in a ring match?
I don't think
to claim the title.
The implication is that they're still they're it's more like Racer X and Speed Racer, I think, rather.
Okay, I gotcha.
All right. Now you have the Chiba Lotte Marines, and their 3 mascots are Markun, Rine-chan, and Zu-chan.
I'm gonna guess like 3 adorable aquatic animals, like maybe an otter as one of them. You got like maybe a polar bear or something, like a penguin. I don't know.
They used to have a penguin. Like, you can get a half a point for that. Now they're all seagulls. There's Markun, who's the main seagull, and his girlfriend Rine, and his little brother Zu. What's fun is that before 2016, they had entirely different mascots. One of which was just a fish with that was eating another fish. That was like a half dead fish holding another fish. It was just it was just like a fish eating
I mean, if you've ever gone to a beach, that is like just what seagulls look like. Do you want to hear my impression of a seagull?
Sure. I definitely won't edit this out if it's terrible.
Hang on.
Warm up those vocal cords.
Hey, I'm Jerry the Talking Seagull.
That's a little polite for a seagull. Shouldn't it be just like, fuck you, give me your shit?
He's been on hard times himself, so he knows, like, not everyone's on their best day, and, he's grown and learned.
You got $1 for a seagull.
Uh-huh.
All right, so those were the mascots of the Japanese Baseball League. Something very video game related.
Super interesting. I think you've kind of given me a little bug to look into more of those.
Yeah, there's so many of them too, because they change all the time too. So there's just like armies of them. Anyway.
Oh, that's funny. Well, what a good quiz.
Thank you.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah, hopefully it was humorous or interesting. What have you been playing this week?
Oh, this and that. I actually started to play a little bit of Dave the Diver.
Oh, yeah.
Been really enjoying that. I know we probably want to do that for a episode in the future here, but I've really been enjoying it. It's a super fun game. It's got that like nice addictive gameplay loop that you want from like a Stardew Valley, but it has a little bit more of the what if you also were like helping run a restaurant kind of management sim side to it. Very light on those mechanics, but still really enjoyable.
Yeah.
And then fired up World of Horrors. It's a game we talked about over the summer. I thought it actually was a new game coming out, but it was just that it had been released for the Switch.
Ito thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's weird. Like, it's very weird. I've died so many times on just the very first story and I can't figure, like, I'll get it at some point here, but it's I'm loving it.
Oh, good.
Like, it actually, like, for even its low res like art style, I'm getting jump scared constantly on it. It's
No, I don't remember. Is this something that is just kind of done in the style of Junji Ito, or is it actually done with him like working on it or anything?
That I don't know. It's definitely in the style of, but yeah, I don't know what his involvement was into it. Yeah, it's really good though. So I'm going to be playing a lot more of that. And I haven't started it, but I have downloaded Like a Dragon Ishin.
Oh yeah, we gotta do that too.
So I think I might play a little bit of that this weekend because I was looking some things online and they're like, go ahead and play it. It's the same characters, but like way, way, way back. Like, you're good.
My only thought is that I did a little looking into it, and so like one of the things about Ishin is that it's like the Yakuza games, but it's set in like not feudal Japan, but like was it the 19th century there?
Yes.
What's that called?
It's not the Magi. It's the
Yeah,
It'll come to me
the
after.
thing
It's
before.
if you've ever played like Way of the Samurai, it's that era.
Yeah, it's like the pre-Last Samurai period, but like only just. Anyway.
Yep.
Um.
Tokugawa Dynasty.
No, that's much earlier. That's right after the
before the
Sengoku
Magi,
period.
Yeah.
It might be the Magi. It doesn't matter. Anyway, but there's all the characters of this thing are all like played by characters from the Yakuza series. So like Kiryu is the main character, but he's not Kiryu. It's just like a guy who looks exactly like Kiryu and acts like him. And all the other characters in that are also other characters from Yakuza. And I think there's a few characters that from like 5 and 6 you might want to play before we do Ishin.
Okay.
Just because I think you might. I mean, it doesn't actually matter, but you might get some. You might get some like as opposed to like that's who that guy was supposed to be. But I guess that can be fun too.
Well, I've got 5 all queued up and ready to go. I'm gonna play it pretty soon here. I was wondering, and this can be cut if we need it to be, but for our Yakuzmas, maybe we just dedicate December to Yakuza.
Well, my problem is I'm going to be traveling. So, like, I mean, if we do that, that works because I've already played all of them. But I also won't I won't have the ability to go back and play any of them, which is okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we could just do that because, like, again, I would just be like, I can remember. I can just go back and watch the cutscenes. But actually, that might be a good idea.
That would get us through those 3, 5, 6, and 7, and then we can do end of year. And then, the rest of them after the new year if we want, or, whenever we want to do them.
No, that's a good idea. So, first week of December.
Because we'll have a new one
5,
coming
6,
out in
7.
January, right?
We have one, technically, have a new one coming out next month.
Yeah. God, Jesus.
So, I mean, granted, that one's a shorter one, so that was a spin-off, I guess. Although it's unlike the other spin-offs, it's like canonical, so. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Yes,
which is what were you playing this week? Actually,
yeah, I haven't been playing. I've been playing Anno a little bit. I went back and I really like Anno 1800. I don't know what to tell you. I had plans to do the new Star Trek thing, but we didn't end up doing that. So
we have not done that yet.
We
will
going to
be.
do that. Yes. But I also have been playing the game that we'll be playing next week, so I don't want to talk too much about that. But that's been an interesting experience as well.
Good.
Yes. Much to say about that thing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. That is it. I need to play more games besides. That's kind of the problem, is that I end up playing the games we're playing for the podcast, and I don't play other things.
Well, we got a City Skylines 2 coming out pretty soon.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna that's
which
gonna
I already
eat my
saw
life.
like them apologizing.
Oh god, yeah, that
because,
should have been in the news. Like, I've never seen this happen.
This should have been in the news.
We'll rewind back to the news thing.
Uh-huh.
But Yeah, so the developers of City Skylines 2, Colossal Order, have announced that they did not meet their performance benchmarks in the development of this game, and that customers should adjust their expectations for it, which is like the weirdest way of saying like it performs bad. It's such like it's. I mean, I guess it's a responsible thing to do, right? Like to tell people that you're
honesty.
like, this one's kind of crap. I mean, we couldn't like. I don't know why they couldn't be like, let's release it in February. Maybe that was the smart thing. I don't know. Like, but
I mean, I'm imagining it's more like performance is fine on computers that hit into like the 80th and higher percentile.
yeah,
And then
exactly.
anything below that is going to really dramatically suffer.
Yeah, and like most things, it'll probably run decently well on mid to low tier computers, and on high tier computers where they haven't bothered to fudge with all the drivers for it, it'll run like crap. And then all the game reviewers with their high end machines will be like, "Arr." But I mean, that's, yeah, I mean, not that you should do that. Like, but also, if it's anything like the first City Skylines, it didn't run very well when it came out either. It just had a much lower profile. And like I remember playing City Skylines when it came out, like day one, and it ran just fine until you had like more than 5,000 citizens, and then it slowed to a crawl. Which, to be fair, Anno does too. Speaking of which, so I'm well couched in my
Well,
expectations of City Skylines 2, but at the same time,
it can't have a worse release than Cyberpunk did for PS4.
no, I mean it. I've seen people playing it like on like there are like there's a few City Skylines YouTubers I follow and like creators and stuff, and they've gotten pre-release builds and it works. So I've watched hours of footage and stuff like that, and it hasn't melted their computers. So hopefully that is a good sign.
Hell yeah.
But yeah,
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, no, me too. And also, City Skylines is, of course, like one of the most modded games ever. So, we'll have. Oh, that's another thing that's odd. Speaking of which, they said that there was not going to be workshop releases for they won't use the Steam Workshop for the mods for City Skylines. Paradox is going to be using their own launcher mod manager, which.
That makes sense for them, though. Like, they've got that for other games. So, like a mod manager built into the launcher.
Oh, absolutely. But, like, you could still get the mods from the workshop that flow over to the mod manager in like, Crusader Kings and all that jazz.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're just not feeling like that's the most stable place to put it right now.
Yeah, I think a big part of it's probably that they want to have control over like the modding community, and I don't mean like they want to rule it with an iron fist, although maybe they do, but I mean more like they want to be the ones who dictates like what should be allowed and what shouldn't be allowed, as opposed to like going through Steam regulations.
If your option is middleman or no middleman is always going to get you closer directly to the consumer and let you kind of mod and curate.
And historically, Paradox, like I'm thinking, like in the early Steam days, was pretty direct with a lot of their stuff. I'm thinking like this is like Europa Universalis like 3 and stuff. Where you like, I remember going on the forums, like the Paradox forums, all the time for updates and mod links and that sort of thing. So like historically speaking, they've had a much closer relationship to the player than other companies, and certainly than they do now. So. Maybe this is a bid to move things back that way.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, on one hand, I don't know that... I don't view the Steam Workshop as necessarily like, integral to modding. I think City Skylines is the only one I use the Steam Workshop for, actually. Because I actually think that the workshop's kind of hard to find stuff in and is weirdly laid out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this could be a good thing. But also, it raises flags for me.
Yeah, no, we'll just have to see.
Indeed.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? One more little thing. It's not what I played this week, but it's what I'm about to start playing. I just finished the download for Phantom Liberty.
Oh yeah, the new DLC.
So I'm going to start a fresh V and try again. I don't want to do cool and tech as my primaries, but I'm going to just because they were the most fun.
Yeah, I need to do that at some point too. But at the same time, I'm still probably gonna just do the jumpy stabby build that I had from before.
Yeah, it works great.
It's also fun. Which is good to do in a game. Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
actually, it's one of the few times you feel like you're really fighting in that game is when you're going melee and everyone's going range, and you're just like in a parlor, like moving around tables and arcade machines, and the shooting from the player is so empty feeling.
Yeah, and also like there's so many games where I can just shoot things. There are very few games where I can ninja slice someone after hacking in their eyelids and jumping out of a window. Like that's is a much more fun thing for me than stand behind box and shoot.
Yep. Yeah, with smart bullets, so you don't even have to aim.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Come on.
But anyway.
So yeah.
I'll have to find some time when I have enough hard drive space to reinstall Cyberpunk.
Although, I just had to do that today. I had to do the hard drive shuffle.
I keep reading all these things.
They're actually really low price right now.
Every article.
And I've been looking at it. I have another, what is that? The M.2 slot. I have one of those, and I've got like the old classic slot still for solid state. So I should just get more.
Yeah, me too.
Room.
I should just do that. All right. Thanks for listening. Go buy an SSD. This episode's been sponsored by Westgate. No, wait. Do they still exist anymore? Seagate. Western Digital Seagate.
Yes.
Although I think all mine are Samsungs anyway.
Yep, mine too.
If you like this episode, you can like it and or subscribe to it and or leave a review for it.
Yeah.
You can get in contact with us at The Save State on most forms of social media or at thesavestatepodcast@gmail.com.
Damn right.
Or just leave a comment on the YouTube video if that's where you're listening to this. My good co-host has changed the format for the videos on YouTube, and you should congratulate him. Write a comment, say good job, Mike, because they look good.
Or tell me like how I could make it better. That's fine. I'm always looking to improve.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or tell him all the things that he's done wrong since he was a child, and that he should be punished for.
Are you my grandmother? Jesus. It's the one reason I won't hold a seance. I don't want her to show up.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
We've been us. Bye.
Yeah, we should probably identify ourselves at some point.
We're not the best at that. I just put that playlist on when I'm out of the house. It plays to an empty house. I like to think that it keeps the house spirits entertained, and it's definitely not just me trying to pad our YouTube view numbers. I don't even know if it works that way. I think they go by IP.
Yeah, probably.